Good morning!
Good morning!
And welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday. I am your host, Tracy Kraushorn. This is Wayne Kraushorn and Jeremy McGowan. Each and every week we come to you live right here on Facebook to talk about all things IT. We do this because we want to educate and support our business community because IT is ever changing. This week, we are going to talk about cloud computing, and we're going to start right off with Wayne. And what is the cloud?
What is the cloud? So the cloud is a really generic term, and it really refers to just a huge number of data centers spread across the world. There are hundreds and hundreds of data centers, if not thousands. These are mostly privately owned by big companies like Microsoft, and that's their Azure product, or Amazon's AWS, and Google, and Apple. And again, there are hundreds of vendors of cloud. And what it allows businesses to do, it allows them to do data backup and disaster recovery. It allows them to run their applications in the cloud, like their email and their CRMs. There are some companies that need to run huge amounts of data analytics, which require a huge amount of processing. A lot of them use artificial intelligence and very advanced algorithms. So not only are there cloud computing resources for that, but also there are vendors that have custom-made interfaces for the data analytics. Mm-hmm. A lot of customers have their own customer-facing applications that are hosted and run in the cloud. So, these are very important to businesses. And the real beauty of all this, and this is, as our pastor says, this is the lean-in moment, right? So the lean-in moment is, this is all highly scalable for a business. As a business's processing and file needs increase and decrease, you can easily have needs of the cloud adapt to what your needs are. Hard to do with hardware in your own infrastructure.
So with all the data and the apps and everything you're running in the cloud, Jeremy, is the data secure in the cloud?
I would like to think that yes, most cloud providers do their best to secure their customers' data, right? They don't want to have that bad press, so they do put in line a good deal of security defense mechanisms. However, as with all things in IT, nothing is guaranteed secure. And even the major players such as Google and Microsoft will actually recommend that the customer keep an offsite copy of their data as a backup in case of some type of disaster. They, just as much as everybody else, cannot predict the next hurricane or massive cyber attack that could happen in a day. And that's why they recommend that all customers keep offsite backup of all their data as a best practice, period.
Very good. Wayne, how can the cloud save businesses money?
So there's a couple of ways. You kind of throw it into two buckets. You have the capital expenditures of the equipment, and you have the operating expenditures. So the capital are a company would have to, without the cloud, they'd have to purchase servers and file storage devices. And if you want them secure, like Jeremy's talking about, you're going to have redundancy, which adds to even more cost. Factor in the complexity of making hardware purchasing decisions. I mean, when you own a server, you're going to own it for 5-10 years. And so when you're having to make those IT purchases, you've got to make them so that they're going to cover your needs for that length of time, which is a very difficult thing to do. So the other is the operating expenses. You have not only the facilities to house the equipment, power, cooling, all those things. You also have the IT support infrastructure in place to maintain the hardware and all the software and the operating systems on those devices. There are a lot of expenditures for that. So by going to the cloud, those are all handled by the cloud providers. So instead of owning and maintaining and operating all that hardware yourself, mm-hmm. you're doing that through licensing agreements with the cloud providers.
So, Jeremy, is the cloud more immune to cyber attacks?
That's a great question, Tracy. No, nothing, unfortunately, is immune to cyber attacks. Fortunately, a lot of these big vendors, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, have incredible budgets to purchase and maintain the not only the hardware, software, but the staff to keep up on cybersecurity. But with all things IT, nothing is guaranteed and nothing is guaranteed immune. There are different levels of protection that customers can use to further secure their cloud environment. For example, one of our partners, Sophos, provides a cloud-based software firewall that can be added onto a Microsoft Azure or Amazon instance, which will give the customer more visibility and control into what traffic is entering and leaving their network. And it also can have alarms and notifications. So should something go wrong, should there be an attempted hack, and the customer will get notification in real time. And that provides, again, greater visibility and protection. When you know what's going on in your network, you have better control on how to maintain it.
Very good. Wayne, let's talk about virtual desktop.
What is virtual desktop? Yeah, so it's not a new thing. It's actually been around for quite a while, but it's gaining a lot of momentum as more and more companies are migrating functions to the cloud, and the costs of that are coming down more and more. Virtual desktop has turned into one of those things. To get an idea of what it is, if you take your PC's operating system and its files and its applications, and you just image that up onto a data center, and it's sitting on a server somewhere. So now all of that processing, all of that file retrieval, your email, all of that stuff is going on in the cloud. When you think of what's going back and forth to your PC is a visualization device in the most part. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple of advantages that gives. One, you can get a performance increase. It's a little bit internet throughput dependent. But when you think about, you're not doing a lot of massive data transfer, and it's running on powerful processors up on a server somewhere in a data center, then obviously the user experience can be better. But what a lot of people like about it is the mobility aspect of it, because when you think about it, your desktop is now sitting somewhere in the cloud. All you need is internet access. So whether you're in your PC, your desktop at your work, or you're on your tablet at home, or you get off an airplane and you want to see your desktop from a mobile device, mm-hmm. the experience is the same. And so a lot of people like that mobility aspect of it.
I know I do.
Yes, you do.
All righty. Let me check and see if there are any questions we have. I don't see any. As always, you guys can drop questions in the chat. You can email us with any questions, but if there are no questions, Wayne, what's coming for next week?
What's coming for next week? We are going to talk about cyber insurance. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies don't even realize it's out there and what it is and how it can benefit them. And we're also going to talk about ensuring your IT infrastructure that you do have. As Jeremy likes to point out, we live in the lightning capital of the world in the Tampa area, and we have had customers get lightning strikes and take out equipment. So we're going to talk about having insurance in place to cover that hardware in case it's hit. And maybe we'll throw in some things you can do to help protect it.
Awesome.
From lightning strikes.
Well, I am going to leave you this week with a little tip. So a program that I have been loving lately is called Canva. Canva is a program that will help you with your social media. It will help you with your marketing. They've got great templates. They've got great ideas. If you want to do the paid pro version, it's not that expensive. I think it's like $12 or $13 a month. And it gives you access to and it's a lot easier to use than like Photoshop. Photoshop is a very deep well to do graphics and stuff like that. So Canva is very easy. It's very intuitive, and they've got some great ideas and stuff on there. So that is one program that I am loving lately, and I wanted to pass that along and share it for any of you who might have an interest just to take a look or even use it. So thank you.
Well, Jeremy, do you have a tip for us today?
I do. We have a lot of questions here and there coming in from people, who are business customers, but they're asking about the security of their home networks, which is always a concern because we're basically doing today the same things at home that we do in the office, and we have more equipment and we have cameras that monitor our kids and monitor our security. And a lot of times, people are concerned. So my first tip about that is whenever you get a router or modem from your ISP, whether it be Spectrum or Frontier or whoever you have, the first thing to always do is to change that default password. Usually it's something very simple like admin or password, and sometimes those devices are accessible from the internet. So it would be very easy for a hacker to hop in and change some things on your network and you wouldn't even know it. That's a major concern. So always change your home router or modem password to something other than the default password. The second tip is you got to make sure your wireless is encrypted. If somebody happened to be sitting outside and sitting in a car, theoretically, they could hop on your wireless and look at your cameras, look at your email, or look at anything else, and nobody wants that. So you definitely want to change that username and password on that modem. You want to make sure that your wireless is password secured and encrypted with a secure password. And you want to make sure that you're filtering any incoming traffic. So that's my tip for today. I'm happy to answer any questions about home security. I turn it back to you.
All righty. Well, that wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're catching us on the replay and you want to drop us some questions, just let us know. Just push #replay. And you can always reach us by email. And I believe our phone number is in there too. So everybody have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Happy
Take
week.
care.
Bye.